Essex Police Emergency.
Hi there. Hello. I need police and a forensics team to my address, please.
What do you mean? What's happened?
My friend and I got into an altercation, and I'm the only one who came out alive.
Are you telling me you've killed somebody?
Yes, I am.
On February 17, 2014, 18-year-old Louis Daines made a chillingly calm call to the police, informing them that he'd just taken a life. The web of lies created by this pathological child predator led to the death of an innocent child. The victim's name was Breck Bednar, and he was just 14 years old at the time. Prior to this incident, Breck's mother, Lauren Lefebvre, had voiced concerns to the police about her child potentially being groomed. These complaints fell on deaf ears, with the police failing to take any steps to save Breck's life. Today, we'll unpack the savage violence Louis Daines, a predator with a track record of sexual assault and violence, and a twisted desire for young boys that he focused on Breck. First, we need to start by taking a look at the victim, whose innocence nobody can deny. Lauren and her husband, Barry Bednar, were both born in America. They met in the town of Breckenridge, Colorado, a town they loved so much that they named their first son after it. Breck was born on March 17, 1999, and by all accounts, he was raised in a loving and caring environment. His parents had a great relationship, and they extended that warmth towards their son by giving him everything he ever asked for. 2 years later, Lauren gave birth to triplets, making Breck an older sibling to 2 sisters and a brother. It appears that he was a good brother to them, showing a caring streak that continued until his very last day. However, it's fair to say that Breck's life was full of unexpected instability. His parents had moved to England 3 years before he was born due to Barry's job as an oil trader and shipping consultant. His father was a very wealthy man, with some reports stating that he'd made a multi-million-dollar fortune in the oil trade. This meant that Breck went to the very best private schools for much of his life, but by the time he was in middle school, everything changed. Lauren and Barry divorced at some point, which put the family into sudden, severe financial distress. Breck couldn't go to the high-end private school anymore, and was forced to go to a nearby public school instead. Needless to say, this was a tough transition for the child. The private school had offered all sorts of perks, like a comprehensive sports program that helped keep him fit. With those programs now out of his reach, Breck retreated into a digital world. He filled his time by playing video games for hours on end, which made his mother concerned for his well-being. It is important to note that Barry seems oddly absent during the last few years of Breck's life. The shift to a public school suggests that Barry wasn't giving his ex-wife and children the same level of financial support anymore, which may have resulted in tension between the former lovers that their children inevitably noticed. Even so, Breck continued to enjoy a relatively stable life with his mother and siblings in the town of Caterham, in Surrey, England. Today's video is sponsored by Aura, and it's a really important time to be talking about them, because hackers may have stolen the Social Security numbers of every American. Over 2.9 billion records were stolen from National Public Data, which offers personal information to employers, private investigators, staffing agencies, and others doing background checks. These stolen records include a person's full name, address, date of birth, Social Security number and phone number, along with alternate names and birth date. And members of the hacker group have reportedly released this information for free online. If you weren't taking precautions with your personal information online before, this should be a huge wake-up call. You've never been more vulnerable online than you are right now. But I'm not too worried about it because I use Aura. Aura alerts me if they find my phone number, email, or Social Security number on the dark web. They're going to let me know fast if anyone tries to use this information to access my credit or bank accounts. They give me up to $5 million in identity theft insurance should the worst-case scenario happen. They also provide a bunch of other features to keep you safe online, all inside one app. You can go to my link aura.com/into the deep to try 14 days for free. That will be enough time for Aura to find out if any of your personal data is exposed. I highly recommend you do this right now, because not only is National Public Data not going to do anything to help you, they probably aren't even going to face any repercussions for this leak. I'm not leaving myself and my family vulnerable to data breaches. And if you don't want to either, you can go to aura.com/into the deep to try 2 weeks for free. Even though he didn't have the same level of privilege, he managed to settle down in the small town of about 20,000 people and developed an interest in technology. Based on reports from his family members, Breck had a natural aptitude for fixing things. As a child, he was often seen carrying around a toolkit, saying that he was mirroring his role model Bob the Builder. This blossomed into a genuine talent as he grew older, but Breck wasn't selfish about his skills. Whenever someone in his family faced a tech issue, Breck was always ready to step in and lend a helping hand. And if the family statements are anything to go by, he offered his support freely and tried teaching less tech-savvy relatives how to use their devices as well. But it turns out that there was a darker side to Breck's love of computers. As we've previously stated, he'd started to disappear down a rabbit hole of online gaming after switching schools. His mother did what she could to get him outside and keep him active, such as enrolling him in the Air Training Squadron, where she hoped he'd learn the value of discipline and hard work. Unfortunately, Breck had already started walking down the path to destruction by this point, and it was through no fault of his own. His love of online gaming was a positive influence at first, allowing him to spend more time with his friends after coming home from school. It's possible that this was the only way he could stay connected with the friends he'd once known in private school. But regardless, the internet can be a wild and scary place, especially for a 14-year-old who doesn't know any better. It's full of dangerous people that would like nothing better than to exploit a child. This brings us to the other focus of this story, Louis Daines, the man that would eventually take Breck's life in a brutal attack. The first thing you might notice about Daines, who was 18 years old at the time of the incident, was that he looked much younger than he was. His baby face may have actually made him seem non-threatening, allowing him to get closer to his victims than a more mature-looking individual might have managed. Nevertheless, Daines turned out to be a cold-blooded predator, although the story of his life might help us understand why he ended up like this. Unlike Breck, Louis Daines never had much stability growing up. As an only child, he didn't have the kind of support you'd get from siblings. To make things worse, his parents got divorced when he was very young, and he was shuffled from home to home over the next few years. He lived with his mother and her new husband at first, but that arrangement didn't last long. His stepfather got a job overseas, and it appears that his mother didn't want to bring a reminder of her failed marriage along for the ride. Daines then moved in with his father, only to be kicked out of that home as well. The reasons behind this are unclear, but we do know that Daines eventually started living with his grandparents. The constant struggle to find a home, not to mention the feeling that no one really wanted him, absolutely wrecked Daines' mental state. He developed a habit of lying about the tiniest of things, often to impress people and make them his friends. Daines also had a knack for computers, much like his eventual victim, but this was a fact that he played up to extraordinary amounts in his conversations. He made unbelievable claims about his skills, which would factor into his ability to gain Breck's confidence down the line. In the years leading up to their fateful online encounter, Daines showed time and time again that he wasn't just poorly adjusted, he was straight up dangerous as well. He had a tendency to harass other boys, show extremely inappropriate sexual behavior, and refuse to take no for an answer. This culminated in a 2011 incident in which Daines allegedly sexually assaulted a 15-year-old boy. There was evidence of the crime, and the victim was willing to step forward, but Daines managed to escape justice simply because local police refused to file charges. This would be a recurring pattern in Daines' criminal activities. Every time he'd do something unspeakable, the police just wouldn't step in for some reason. Could his baby face have had something to do with it? There's a chance that the police looked at Daines and saw an innocent child that didn't know any better. But as we'll soon reveal, These childish looks hid a homicidal rage beneath the surface. One thing that investigators eventually learned about the culprit was that he had enormous, insatiable sexual appetites. We've already established his perverted preferences, but it bears mentioning that he couldn't get enough of them. Apart from the one assault victim that we already know of, Danes allegedly had a collection of horrific, illegal videos that depicted minors. In his desperation to satisfy his urges, Danes also made a habit of preying on boys much younger than him. By 2013, the culprit had moved out of the home of his grandparents and started living alone in a flat in a town called Grays. Situated in the county of Essex, this town was about 30 miles away from Caterham, where Breck lived. In early 2013, a chance encounter set a year-long sequence of events into motion. These events would conclude with a bloody crime scene and the death of a boy that had no chance against a ruthless predator like Danes. Around the start of 2013, two of Breck's friends told him about a gaming group where they played Call of Duty and Battlefield. They may have also told him about the bold ringleader of the group, who seemed to have an almost supernatural level of influence over the other members. It must be said that all of the members of the group were around 13 or 14 years old, except that ringleader, who turned out to be none other than Danes. It's said that the culprit had a lot of influence over the gaming group members. He established this influence by making those claims we mentioned previously, which we shall now get into. It was clear that Danes had some degree of knowledge about computers, but the story he told his young, impressionable gaming friends was completely out of this world. For starters, he claimed that he was a millionaire computer engineer living in New York, and that he earned his fortune by selling software to the U.S. government. If his lies were to be believed, even the U.S. Secret Service used programs created by this teenager from Essex. Since the recipients of these lies were so much younger than him, they readily accepted his tales and thought very highly of the ringleader. The fact that he was excellent at playing video games also boosted his reputation, and Breck was swept up in his lies as well. He was especially impressed when Danes claimed to have made $2 million off of Bitcoin, with the culprit further saying that he donated all the profits to Syrian refugees. It's clear that his goal was to establish himself as a great man, someone that these children should admire. And if the end result tells us one thing, it's that he did all this to satisfy some twisted urges that we may never fully understand. By the way, I post true crime and new cases here every day, so if that sounds like your kind of thing, please consider subscribing. It helps a lot. Breck started to spend most of his days playing video games with the group. During this time, they would use a program called TalkSpeak to chat and socialize. Danes took a special interest in Breck, likely because he saw an easy target in the teen. Since Breck also had an interest in technology, Danes made himself seem even more trustworthy by giving him coding advice and telling him that he could set him up with a high-paying job if he listened to him. There's reason to believe that Danes was extremely controlling of the group. Anything he said was the final word, and there's a chance that the other members of the group were too scared to refuse him. Even so, they started to notice just how much influence Danes was starting to have over Breck, particularly noticing the way he tried to isolate the teen from his family. Lauren started to notice some concerning patterns as well. Breck had always been a model child. He went to church every Sunday, got good grades in school, and never talked back to his mother. Her new partner, Simon Goodwin, only had good things to say about Breck, indicating that he was polite enough to respect his mother's new lover as well, despite the mixed feelings he might have had about the arrangement. But after Breck joined the gaming group, all of that started to change. He didn't want to go to church anymore. He'd become argumentative and irritable. It was almost like he was turning into a completely new person, which made his mother understandably upset. She tried to restrict how much time he spent gaming, but there was no use. Breck always found a way to return to the group, to return to Danes, and the culprit's influence continued to grow. Things escalated one day when Lauren overheard Breck talking to Danes through TalkSpeak. She could tell that the person on the other end was a grown man and realized that her child might be getting groomed. When she asked Breck who this man was, The teen told her that he was a rich programmer living in New York, but she was suspicious because he always seemed to play games with the group at normal UK hours. Her suspicion grew when she found out that Danes was supposedly just 17 and that he refused to show the group his case because he had secret undercover work that forced him to protect his identity. The truly heartbreaking part of this story is that she went to the police and reported that a potential child predator was talking to her boy on December 17, 2013. The police noted down the complaint, but once again did nothing. 2 months later, Breck would leave his home in Caterham, never to be seen again. In early 2014, Danes told Breck that he wanted to meet him. Of course, it wasn't possible for a teenager to travel to a different town, especially to meet someone older than him. The fact that Lauren knew about the threat Danes posed made it all the more difficult for the predator to get what he wanted. To solve this, Danes sent Breck a mobile phone and gave him a cover story to tell his parents. On his groomer's instructions, Breck was to tell his mother that he wanted to go and stay with his dad over the weekend. In reality, Breck was going to take a cab, which had already been paid for by Danes, and head over to the culprit's flat in Grays. On February 17th, Breck left his home in the cab. A few hours later, Barry called Lauren, telling her that their son never arrived. Lauren became concerned, but no matter how hard she tried, she wasn't able to get in touch with Breck. More time passed, and the younger triplets made a gruesome discovery online. They started receiving messages from friends asking if Breck had become the victim of a homicide. There were photos circling on social media that showed Breck's lifeless corpse, and they'd apparently come from the gaming group led by Danes. The children were devastated when they saw the images, and it's no coincidence that they were released to the internet. The police eventually arrived and confirmed that Breck had, in fact, died in a brutal crime. And the fact that they knew was through no skill of their own. No, that information had come straight from the perpetrator himself. That morning, Danes made a call to emergency services, asking them to come over with a forensic team. He confessed to slaying Breck, though he claimed that he did it in self-defense. In his version of events, Breck had tried to attack him with a pocket knife, but he subsequently described stabbing him in the brainstem and slashing him across the throat. However, his story seemed to fall apart right there on the call. He informed the dispatcher that he'd taken a shower before making the report, suggesting that the whole thing was coldly calculated. When police arrived on the scene, they found a mountain of evidence that confirmed the truth. Danes had done something truly horrific, and his icy calmness during the call only further showed how cold-blooded he was.
Are you telling me you've killed somebody?
Yes, I am.
Right, and who am I speaking to?
My name is Lewis Danes. I'm 18 years old and I live...
Right, okay. And what's actually happened?
My friend came to stay the night with me yesterday, feeling very down, feeling suicidal. And I woke up this morning, he was in a mess. I tried to calm him down. I hugged him, then said that I was there for him. He shrugged me off.
Can you just bear with me a second? Don't tell me any more, okay? You're telling me he is definitely dead?
Yes, I'm telling you he's definitely dead.
Right, okay, Lewis, I need you to just take me back through that again. So what happened last night?
Okay. He came to stay with me because he was feeling down. I tried
What's
my
his
best.
name?
Breck. B-R-E-C-K, Bednar.
Okay, so he came to stay with you.
I can explain this to the officers when they get
I
here.
will just, I need to take these initial details.
I know. He came to stay with me the night. I did my best to comfort him. I woke up this morning. He was in a mess. I tried again.
Right, just slow down again, Lewis. I need to take these details. So did you have an argument with him last night?
No, we were fine.
You were fighting?
No, we were fine. We were fine last night. We both went to sleep. I said that we were fine.
Okay, but why did he come to stay with you?
Because he was fed up with his home life.
Right, because he was fed up with his home life.
He's had a lot of problems. I've known him for a long time. He came to stay with me. I was in Thailand last week on holiday. He was in Spain on holiday.
Okay.
We both got back.
So
we met up.
you both went to bed, and then what's happened this morning?
I woke up. He was just standing up. He was in a mess, hands on his face. I got up. I put my arms around him, and I said it was okay. He just shrugged me off and said no. I can't remember exactly what he said. He was going on about how he didn't want to go home. He was fed up with his life, and he didn't want to go.
Right,
And
okay.
I have a penknife on the side of, in my room, adjacent to my bed. I have a chest of drawers. After shaving the TV and stuff on there, I had a penknife on there, folded. He picked it up, opened it, and then lost control.
Slow down. Let me just take those details here. Penknife on the bedside table. Brett grabbed this.
Yes.
What, in order to harm himself?
No, in order to harm me. He opened it and then lost control.
To harm informant and opened it. It states he lost control.
In self-defense, put my left arm up to block him from stabbing me effectively. We struggled. I got him to the ground. He got up. I got the knife. Can you not interrupt me with this part?
Okay, go on.
Okay. This is being recorded anyway, isn't it?
Yep.
I grabbed the knife and I stabbed him once in the back of the neck, I believe somewhere near the brainstem. He turned around, he tried to carry it on, and I think I stumbled on my chest of drawers. I fell over. I got back up, backed away, and then I don't remember exactly what happened, but the fight ended with me cutting his throat. I believe I turned around and I slashed his throat.
Right.
He fell face first on my bed. I tried to stop the bleeding.
Yep.
He fell onto the floor.
Yep.
I couldn't stop it. His throat was properly cut.
And he's still on the floor?
Yes. He fell onto the bed face first. I was trying to compress the wound at that time. And
Lewis, are you still in the room where Breck is?
No.
Where are you?
Look, don't interrupt me. Just let me explain this if this is being recorded. I didn't know what to do. I felt like...
Right, is the house where you are is where you are and where Breck is, yeah? But you're in another room, are you?
Yes, I felt like taking my own life. I don't remember what happened after that. All I know is I dropped the knife in my hallway. I stripped down and just sat in the shower.
Right, you've left the weapon in the hallway.
Yes.
And have spent how long sitting in the shower?
I don't know. Look, are the police on their way? I can hear something.
They are.
Okay, I'm going to go and do my part. Please, thank you for your help.
Right, just listen.
First, there was the fact that Breck had been tied up with duct tape. When police examined the body further, they saw signs that he'd been sexually assaulted. It seemed as though Breck had had a truly brutal night, and after committing such a heinous act, he'd taken steps to conceal as much evidence as possible. Part of this involved taking a shower to remove the massive amounts of blood. But beyond that, Danes had wiped all of his hard drives and submerged them in water, hoping that this would obscure his perverted sexual history. With so much evidence in his apartment, the police were able to charge Danes with the homicide of a child. He seemed in no hurry to defend himself, pleading guilty to the crime in court and getting sentenced to 25 to life in the process. Circling back to the self-confession, Danes frequently asks the operator not to interrupt him. He knew the call was being recorded. There's a good chance that he saw this as his chance to shine. He wanted the spotlight, to tell his story, to be seen as someone vicious and unstoppable. A decade later, Breck's family is still trying to recover from the loss. Lauren ended up suing the police over their inaction, prompting Surrey police to change how they handle emergency calls. She also started the Breck Foundation to raise awareness around the dangers of grooming. All of this is done in Breck's name, in the name of an innocent life that was inexplicably snuffed out. What do you think of this case? Are the police to blame for not acting sooner? Did Danes deserve a harsher sentence, perhaps without the possibility of parole? We would love to know your thoughts in the comment section. If you like the way we create these videos and you want to help bring more cases like this to light, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives. Thank you once again for watching.